More than 2 years have passed since the January 6th Capitol riot, a day forever etched in American history. Yet, a sinister prelude to that fateful day remains shrouded in mystery. The FBI's recent renewed focus on the January 5th pipe bomb incident has cast a harsh spotlight on an investigation marred by delays, inconsistencies, and a seeming lack of urgency. This essay delves into the details of the pipe bomb incident, examines the troubling lack of progress in the investigation, and highlights the urgent need for answers to restore public trust. The January 5th pipe bomb incident involved the placement of 2 viable explosive devices outside the headquarters of the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee in Washington, D.C. These bombs, discovered just hours before the Capitol riot, were no mere props. They were active threats capable of inflicting significant damage and loss of life. Despite the gravity of the crime, the investigation has been plagued by a lack of transparency and a sense that powerful forces are actively working to hinder progress. The FBI, despite initially dedicating significant resources to the case, has yet to make a single arrest or even identify a credible suspect. This lack of progress, coupled with the stonewalling tactics employed by various government agencies, has fueled speculation and eroded public confidence in the institutions tasked with keeping us safe. This essay argues that a thorough and transparent investigation into the January 5th pipe bomb incident is not just about bringing the perpetrator to justice. It is about restoring faith in our government and ensuring that such a blatant attempt to disrupt our democracy is never again met with such a tepid response. On the evening of January 5, 2021, as the nation braced for the upcoming certification of the 2020 presidential election, a lone figure, concealed by the darkness and the anonymity of a hooded sweatshirt, planted 2 pipe bombs in the heart of the nation's capital. The devices, crafted with deadly intent, were strategically placed outside the headquarters of the Republican National Committee and the Democratic National Committee, symbols of the nation's political divide. The first device was placed at approximately 7:30 p.m. outside the RNC, nestled among bushes in an alleyway adjacent to a public sidewalk. The second device was planted roughly 20 minutes later, just a few blocks away, at the DNC headquarters. This bomb, larger than the first, was placed in a secluded area behind a bench near the building's entrance. The bombs, each equipped with a timer and packed with explosive powder and shrapnel, had the potential to cause catastrophic damage. Had they detonated as intended, they could have killed or maimed countless innocent people, including civilians, law enforcement officers, and potentially even high-ranking political figures. Fortuitously, the bombs were discovered before they could detonate, thanks to the vigilance of a Capitol police officer who noticed the device outside the RNC. The discovery of the first bomb triggered an immediate evacuation of the surrounding area and a frantic search for other potential devices. The second bomb was located shortly thereafter, and both devices were safely detonated by bomb squads. Despite the high stakes and the wealth of potential evidence, the investigation into the January 5th pipe bomb incident has been stymied by a combination of factors, including the suspects' deliberate efforts to conceal their identity, the sporadic and often poor quality of surveillance footage in the area, and a perplexing lack of public tips, despite the offer of a substantial reward. However, perhaps the most troubling aspect of the investigation has been the alleged stonewalling and lack of cooperation from various federal and local agencies. House Republicans led by Representatives Jim Jordan and James Comer have repeatedly accused the FBI, ATF, Secret Service, and DC Police of dragging their feet in response to congressional requests for documents and interviews related to the investigation. These agencies, according to the lawmakers, have been slow to provide requested materials, have redacted crucial information from documents that have been turned over, and have, in some cases, outright refused to make key witnesses available for interviews. This alleged obstruction raises troubling questions about what these agencies might be trying to hide. Is it simple incompetence, or are there more nefarious forces at play, seeking to bury the truth about the January 5th pipe bomb incident? The American people deserve answers, and those in positions of power within these agencies have a moral and legal obligation to be forthright and transparent. The January 5th pipe bomb incident was a brazen act of domestic terrorism, intended to sow chaos and disrupt the peaceful transfer of power. Yet more than 2 years later, the investigation into this heinous act remains unresolved, shrouded in secrecy and plagued by a lack of urgency. This failure to bring the perpetrator to justice has eroded public trust in our institutions and left a stain on our democracy. The American people deserve answers. They deserve to know who planted those bombs, why they did it, and whether they received any help or encouragement from others. They deserve to know why the investigation has been so slow, and why those in positions of power seem content to let this case languish in obscurity. A thorough and transparent investigation is not just about bringing the perpetrator to justice, it is about restoring faith in our government, and sending a clear message that such acts of terrorism will never be tolerated. It is about ensuring that the events of January 5, 2021, are never forgotten, and that we learn from the mistakes that allowed such a terrifying event to occur in the first place.